What is up, OH.Report friends and family, and welcome to the first ever edition of the Sports Mix. My name is Brian Skowronski. If you're wondering to yourself, how am I somehow calling a soccer match live right now and hosting the show here in downtown Mansfield, it's because I'm not really. We had to pre-record this in anticipation of tonight's Ashland versus Madison ladies soccer match, but we're all hyped about the high school football season, as is everybody here in North Central Ohio. And since it's such a beautiful day out, I thought that we'd come out here and talk about the pigskin with my dude, Garret Parlett, standing by right here on a beautiful walk here in downtown Mansfield.
Sure.
So we got some interesting games, of course, on the menu for this weekend, G-Man, but I think the one that everybody here in Richland County has circled on the menu is Lucas on the road at Clear Fork. Let's first talk about these Cubs. You got to see them in the state championship game, so you know that they've got the potential and they can get places. 4 of their offensive linemen are back. How much of a difference does that make?
You know, as a former offensive lineman myself, being in the trenches is bigger than what you think it is. So the game is won. The game is won up front, and without those big guys up front leading the way, especially with the Cubs and the way they run their offense, they're not going to get anything done. And with the 4 returning, they're in great shape.
And then it's kind of a completely different story on the other end for Clear Fork. They had a great season last year, 6-4, just barely, narrowly missed the playoffs. But they got fast kids all over the field, and they got young talent too, G-Man. So not a ton of veterans necessarily at the key skill positions, but a lot of speed. So that also can kill you.
Right. Yeah, I went out there and covered one of their practices, and they're very quick. I mean, they feel like even their linemen are quicker than what you'd expect. So I expect Clear Fork to be pretty good this year and maybe make a title conference run.
All right, we're going to continue down the sidewalk here, and let's continue the conversation with your alma mater, where I'm going to be at. Over at Crestview, they are hosting their Firelands Conference rival, Mapleton. And tell me about the Cougs and why they're ready and they're hungry this year to go on the hunt.
You know, the Cougars, I think they're ready. I mean, they had their first playoff berth in a while last year, losing to East Knox, unfortunately. But Ross Kuhn returning varsity quarterback, and then you got Evan Hamilton outside, Connor Morris, Chase Shiflett as your running backs. I mean, you can't ask for any returning players as great as them, so I think they got a good shot this year.
And on the other side, Mapleton, just 1 win a season ago. They got a lot of young kids on the roster again, so could be another opportunity for the Cougars to get off to a nice start, kick off the season with a win at home.
Yeah, for sure. Mapleton, they're one of the Crestview's biggest rivals, but they're always good, and they always bring the battle to Crestview, so I expect a good game.
And then the last game that we're going to talk about, another team that went to the state championship last year, Mansfield Senior. They got to go on the road out in Amish country at West Holmes. The Tigers, though, totally depleted their roster anyways with the great senior class that they had. What are you expecting from TY this season, given a lot of new faces at some key positions?
You know, Coach Bradley always gets his team ready to go, but, I mean, they did lose a lot of seniors, Cam Todd, especially at quarterback. I look for them to be just as, I mean, not maybe just as good, but I think they'll compete. I mean, he always brings in good talent, and they're always working hard, so I think got a shot at the conference again.
I tend to agree with you, G-Man. West Holmes on the other side of the equation. Again, a ton of sophomores on the roster, so they're going to be expecting young kids to step up and fill the void, as are Mansfield Senior. But how challenging do you think that will be for the Knights to try to have so many young kids make key positions?
You know, the only thing going for West Holmes right now is that they got home field advantage. I mean, Tigers are bringing in a lot of players that are great players. West Holmes out in Amish country, I don't know much about them, but I know that they're probably big boys, country boys, but it'll be a battle in the trenches again. The game's one up front, so we'll see how it goes.
And my guy right here knows something about big country boys. He is one himself. Garret Parlett, we're going to go ahead and send you inside, let you get cooled off in the AC. I'm going to go grab Travis Berardi. He's going to come out and talk to us about 3 more games. All right, while G-Man's cooling off inside, we got Travis here who's going to fill us in, drop some knowledge about a few games. Let's begin with Ontario and Shelby, another great Richland County matchup that I'm certainly looking forward to. And there is so much hype right now around this Shelby train. Do you think that they are going to live up to the anticipation that people like me and a lot of others in this community think they're going to do?
I was on the Shelby hype train before all this COVID stuff happened. I thought they had a really good shot at going 10-0. I think they can go 6-0, and I think they can have a Lucas Mansfield Senior type run, and I believe they're going to start off in a big way on Friday night at home against Ontario.
Yeah, we keep hearing about this Marshall Shepard making his first start. That's going to be really excited. Owen Fisher, definitely the running back 3-year starter for them,
Stud.
Is going to be key. And then Chris Miller in his 3rd year. I want to see if they can turn the corner here and start stacking up some wins. This would be huge if the Warriors can get out of the gates with a W.
Definitely, and they have the speed, they have the athleticism to be able to stick in there. And hey, you never know, on any given night, they might be able to get a few punches out there early against Shelby and make it a game, and you never know. So, you know, Shelby, they just have to live up to the hype. They have to play like it's against a state championship contender, and they'll be fine. But if not, Ontario, if they get out to a quick start, you never know.
All right, let's talk about a couple of games now that we're kind of uncertain as of this morning whether or not they were going to kick off on Friday night. And we'll begin with Lexington and Mount Vernon. We heard maybe COVID in a case for the Minutemen maybe shutting down the game. But if they are able to play, Travis, what are your thoughts on this matchup, and who do you like to win?
This is a toss-up for most. Lexington, Mount Vernon, both squads, they were young last year. They have the ability, Lexington losing their stud running backs from last year, Green and Barry, but they have some guys in waiting that you believe that they could make some noise, and if they get off to a good start against Mount Vernon, you never know. It could be a springboard to a successful season down at Lex.
I at least like that they have Cole Pauly, the quarterback. He's going to be a junior, second year as a starter. And then over on the other side, Wyatt Gregory no longer there for the Yellow Jackets. That's a record-setting back that's lost, so that helps at least the Minutemen in their case as they play at home. All right, and then Northmor, Travis, they were able to sign an agreement with Grandview Heights after they lost their Week 1 opponent.
Yes.
But we still don't know if this is going to happen. If it does, though, playing at home on the brand new turf, how excited is it going to be if you're a Golden Knights fan?
If you're a Golden Knights fan, this is like the Super Bowl for you guys. Pretty much a new field, new scoreboard. The OH.Report down there live streaming the game. I'll be on the call. Hopefully the governor drops Franklin County down to a yellow or an orange or a yellow, so Knox County will allow them to come up and play Northmor at Northmor. And it's just big. Northmor, big turnover from last year's third straight playoff appearance. But, you know, Coach Scott Armrose down there, he has his guys ready to play game in and game out. They'll be ready. New turf, big night for them. Could be a big night. And like Lexington, could be a springboard to some good things this season.
All right, we'll wrap it up here with one more, Travis. BUCYRUS hosting WYNFORD. That's a great rivalry, but is it much of a rivalry considering the Royals have put it on them about 25 years in a row? Do you anticipate that anything will happen different? BUCYRUS at least 5-5 last year. They took a step in the right direction. WYNFORD was 7-3, barely missed the postseason, but the Royals, man, God, have they owned them.
Well, the Royals, surprising co-N10 champions last year. They weren't supposed to be in the mix,
right,
but they did. BUCYRUS, you remember you guys did the highlights last year. They were so close to knocking off Mohawk, and that could have put them in the playoffs if they would have defeated them. WYNFORD, you know, they returned some playmakers. BUCYRUS, big turnover from last year, so it's going to be tough to knock off their rivals. But hey, you're at home Week 1. It's a rivalry game. You never know what could happen. But I can see WYNFORD having a shot at another N10 championship if they're able to get one because of the scheduling conflicts and everything like that.
Well, there's a ton of exciting high school football action. Every single game that I talked about with G-Man and now Travis, we are going to have highlights or live streams for on Friday night. But that's enough for the football American style. Let's talk about football, which is something that I did with Travis and Jesse Ryder just the other night. Let's take a look. Jesse, you're plugged in, of course. You know a lot of the up-and-coming athletes. Who should we be looking towards on the soccer pitch this fall? Who should be pretty good?
Absolutely. I think the Lexington boys team is still going to be a really strong team this year. Obviously, they had a Final Four run last year. They lost a couple of key players, but you know they're a program that they're going to keep bringing in key players too. So they've got guys waiting for their moment, waiting to make their impact, to make their legacy at Lexington. So I would expect Lexington boys to be a very strong team again. I think the Ontario boys, last year they were kind of given a little bit of a grant because they were young. And you know, they've all matured, they've been playing, they're growing. So Lexington, Ontario, the two boys teams I would certainly look out for. On the girls side, I think Madison girls, everybody knows they had a great run last year. When your expectations are state championship, and it's a realistic expectation, I think there's that much more pressure. But that is a team that is loaded with talent and has the ability to do that. I think the Ontario girls, though, at the same time, they're going to give them a run come tournament time. You know, whatever tournaments may look like, that's going to be a great matchup and one you're going to want to see. That sectional is maybe one of the most difficult sectionals in the state of Ohio with Madison, Lexington, Ontario, lots of just solid programs every year. And to have to match up, you know, to win those games and then you go to district, it might be an easier game in district, even though you're advancing in the tournament. So those are kind of the teams I think you want to look out for. And there's not a lot of surprise. Those teams are, you know, they're good, but just about every year. But man, I think there is a chance for both a boys and a girls state championship this year.
Yeah, I like hearing that too. And me and Travis were over at Madison Lady Rams practice last week, and I asked a couple of the girls, is the expectation state championship or bust? Will it be disappointed if you don't get there? And point blank, yes. We need to get there. We need to finish the job. They got some younger kids too that Coach Huff has coming up that he's pretty excited about. A whole fleet of freshmen that's going to get some time. So we'll see how well they fit into the mix. All right, so Big Sexy here is cooled off, and he's back out joining us. And I noticed Travis on that pre-recorded video still wearing about the same exact outfit. Do you have anything else in your wardrobe,
I like this shirt, man. Come on, it fits well. I like pulling up the sleeves. It's a nice shirt. I cleaned it.
It looks good.
Okay,
it looks good.
Thank you.
Real quick, and no, since we had the opportunity to talk on the couch, we've seen a few of the teams that we talked about for soccer in action. How about Nevaeh Lewis showing up for the Madison Lady Rams, and then Taylor Huff getting her 100th career goal? So making some big moves, some primetime players there.
Well, we were expecting Taylor Huff to go off, and then Nevaeh does this. Coach Zach Huff, Taylor's graduating after this year, and he still has firepower for the next at least 3-4 years.
Right.
It's unbelievable what Madison has and how they can reload like this.
And it's unbelievable how loud it is down here on Diamond Street, where OH.Report headquarters are located. And speaking of loud, how about the voice of high school football right here in our area, Brian Harter, joining the OH.Report team this year. We could not be more thrilled to have him teaming up with Bruce Weirich, who I also caught up with earlier in the week to talk about some pigskin. Here's another look. So that's what these two are going to be doing for us this year. They're going to be on our main game, so we're very excited to have these two wonderful guys on board with us. And then, you know, great roots in the area, and obviously you've seen a lot of sports too, certainly a lot of football, but nothing like what we're seeing right now. So first, I want to ask you guys about the new modified 6-game schedule. Some teams already have put in place the opponents that they have. It looks like it's going to be mostly conference opponents. From what you've heard and seen up to this point, what are your thoughts on 6 games?
Well, you talk about a sprint. I mean, I was, like you, was involved in coaching, and we always talk about big picture. And, you know, if you're not playing well early in the season, well, you've got some time to get things together. You don't have time in this format. You've got to come out of the gate strong. You've got to look good. You have to look consistent because there's going to be seeding. If this plays out the way it's supposed to, after, about 4 games, they're going to have seeding just like in basketball. So you really have to put on a very solid effort early and often if you want to get that high seed come playoff time.
I feel kind of bad for the kids who've come out for the very first time. You know, I know Ontario's got some kids who have never played before and they're coming out. You don't have those scrimmages right now. You can't slow things down. Everything's got to be pushed forward really fast. And then the season starts and you don't know what the schedule is. You don't know who you're scouting. You don't know what's going on. And I think that's the biggest problem right now, Brian. You're in the dark. You don't know if we're going to be practicing tomorrow or is the governor going to call everything off?
Yeah, I was down at Lexington last week and talked with Tim Scheid, and he was telling me there's just so much uncertainty and you just don't know. Now, he's getting good effort out of his kids and he's really pleased with what he sees, but you know, it's in the back of your mind and it's in the back of their mind and the player's mind, and no matter how much you try to focus and concentrate on the task at hand, you're always wondering, we're going to come in from practice and have the rug pulled out from under us and they say we're not going to play. I mean, when I got down there and talked to him, he had just found out about the new playoff format. And I mean, he literally had it on his phone and he's like, well, I just found this right before I walked on the practice field. So this is just an evolving thing, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. And hopefully it does.
It's kind of funny, Brian, because you were down at Lex talking to Scheib, the coach, and I was at Ontario talking to Chris Miller. And he basically has the same concerns as all the other coaches. What's going to happen? And, you know, you got one of the biggest rivalries in the whole state, Ontario-Lexington. Is that game going to happen? Is it going to play out? Are we going to make things like that happen? Now you're going to a conference game. Do we throw that game away?
So I could not be more thrilled to have those two gentlemen joining our team, the voice of North Central Ohio sports, Brian Harter, teaming up with Bruce Weirich. What an unbelievable 1-2 punch that's going to be. And you can listen to their calls free and live every Friday night right here on the OH.Report. But it's not just going to be on the OH.Report this season. Oh no, big news coming today. We are so excited to announce that we are going to be teaming up with the Source media companies this fall to expand our reach and get to a bigger audience. That's right. The Richland Source, Ashland Source, Crawford Source, and Knox Pages will be lending their Facebook channels to us for every single live stream that we do in their counties so that you can get more interactivity, throw out more comments, more shares, more likes, the whole shebang. We're bringing it to you on all sorts of different platforms. But you might have noticed that I'm out here by myself now. Turns out that a walk and talk, even though it was only a half block, is a little bit more taxing on others more than some. So G-Man and Travis are inside. They ordered a pizza. I gotta go get me at least a piece or two before it's all gone. But we are stoked to bring you high school sports all season long, and it's only just begun. So make sure that you tune in next week right here on the Sports Mix and check all of our live streams. We're gonna be very busy all week long, all fall sports season. So I'm out for now. Better get me a slice of pie. We'll see you at a field near you real soon. That's my sidewalk though. I better not litter out here. Gotta take care of the environment, kids.